Welcome to Botanicals in Gouache. Today we're going to paint a peony. Here are the materials we need. I'm using Holbein gouache and short spotter brushes by Rosemary & Co. But any small synthetic round brush will do. I have a palette, some paper towel, and I'm gonna start with my size 3 brush. And the first thing I'll do is mix a little opera rose with permanent magenta and a touch of white and just enough water to make the paint a little more fluid, but not as fluid as I would with watercolor. I'd say that is a consistency of heavy cream. And I'm just going to lay the first foundation color, and as I paint the petals, I am going to be very careful to follow my drawing, but also to leave a small white gap between the petals so I can tell the difference between one and the other when I'm done putting this foundation layer. Otherwise, because of the opaque nature of gouache, everything would be covered and it would just be a big ball of this beautiful pink color. So I'm just going to carefully paint each petal, and I'm going to speed things up now so you can just enjoy the painting and some music. Sorry, a bit of that clip got cut off, but all I did was to paint all the petals like I said before. So here I mixed a little olive green with permanent green light, and I'm just painting the first layer on the leaves and the stalk. Now I'm going to mix a darker tone so I can paint the white gaps that I left when I painted the petals. And I used a combination of opera rose, permanent magenta, tiny bits of ultramarine blue, and a little white. And I'm just filling in all of those little white gaps, and I switch to my smaller brush here. I believe I used a size 1. It just has to be small enough to fill in those tiny gaps. Now with the same mixture I used for the gaps, except that I added a little more magenta, I'm shading the petals by creating strokes that follow the shape of the petals. And I'm also reinforcing the color where the petals fold and adding a little bit of extra ultramarine to the places that are closest to the folds, because that's where it would be the darkest. Now that all the darks are in place, I'm gonna start adding my lights, and all I have in the brush is titanium white with a teeny tiny little bit of that initial pinkish mixture, just to tint the white so it's not completely stark. And I'm adding the highlights at the tip of the petals and using strokes that follow the shape of the flower. And I'm just going all over and adding the the light, so it has a nice contrast with the darkest darks. So we're basically working with three values here, which is very effective. Right there, I'm just adding a little dark where I lost some of it. Now I'm gonna start working on the leaves and the stalk. I'm adding a little ultramarine to that initial mixture of olive green and permanent green light. And I'm using two brushes here simultaneously. One has the paint and the other one has just a little bit of water, it's just slightly damp, and I use that second brush to blend the colors. I'm doing the same thing on the stalk. That's one of the beautiful things of gouache, is that the colors remain water soluble, so even after they're dry you can go back and blend like I'm blending here. Now with a little mixture of permanent green light and a tiny little bit of olive green, I'm just drawing some veins and adding a little highlights to the leaves and the stalk. Now I'm assessing my values, and I have three values so far: a mid-tone, a light, and a dark, and I'm adding my darkest darks now. So I added a lot of ultramarine to that dark mixture, and I'm only adding here and there where the petals fold or touch each other, and it would be the places where there is practically no light. And I'm being very careful not to add that everywhere. Your darkest darks and your lightest lights should be an accent and not just take over the whole painting. Now I'm adding the final details, just doing a little touch up here and there with the initial pink, and add my final highlights with just titanium white on the brush, and being careful not to go overboard. Just want to add a little bit of pure titanium white here and there, and that's it. It's all done. Here's our peony.